How's it going? I'm Ryan. Today I'm going to go over the three trades that I took. Took one trade on NQ, and I took two trades on ES. First trade was on NQ, so we'll look at that first. We're on the daily time frame here. Past couple weeks were a bit of a crazy chop downwards. We had a big sell-off last Thursday. Friday bounced back. Yesterday kind of a choppy day. Today had some bigger moves. Let's look at some of the zones we're watching. So as you can see, we've been kind of stuck in this range. We got a temporary break out of that range. We had a big sell-off in the morning and then kind of bounced and made our way back into there. So we're still in this range that we've been in since the end of, I guess, Friday's trading session. But these zones are very relevant when we're within that range. So let's take a look at those. We have yesterday's high day and the corresponding zone here around like 18387 or so to the upside to about 18373. We have this zone here, 18320 to 18334. We have this zone here, 18294 to 18283, we'll call it. Yesterday's low a day, and then a corresponding zone down here as well, which is 18222 to say like 18234. And I guess the low day down here in this zone, we'll call that out, 18165 to 18177. So, and this is on NQ. I'm trading micros, but we just chart on NQ and ES and trade off of that as well. So, coming into the day, what were we watching? We had been stuck in this zone, right? Kind of a lot of chop in there. We were opening a little bit higher. We opened above yesterday's high of day and kind of slightly above this range. Pushed up initially and then sold off. We came up and retested this zone. This was a really nice setup, and I was watching ES at the time. NQ had a setup here for shorts that I liked. I did not take this trade, but I do just want to point this out. We had a bunch of wicks up here before we sold off. Then we bounced up and we had pretty low volume, and you see a failure to push higher around the same area that we reject pretty heavily off of. You see, volume slow down. You see price action slow down. That was really nice double top. I did not take this trade. Like I said, I was watching ES at the time, but I think I like that setup on NQ for that move downwards. That being said, the first trade that I did take, and I'm going to back this out to the 5 minute, is I took calls, or not necessarily calls because I'm trading futures, but I took a long position as we came down and tested this zone. And the reason being is because we had previously, you see some volume pick up as we get into this zone, and we bounced from here as we came down. And I'm going to show the 1 minute because the 1 minute gives a little bit better of a picture. But we came down and tested this zone, and I got in a long position for a scalp upwards. I didn't try to hold this super long. I got like a 15-point move, so pretty decent. We did push up, and I sold it right at 18,350. We did push up higher to 18,370. So another 20 points could have been milked out of that, but I only had one contract, and I wasn't trying to be too greedy on a day like this. The reason being that I took it, so I do want to point this out, is that look at what we did yesterday when we got in this zone, right? We got in this zone and we bounced. Prior, we got above this zone, retested it, bounced. When we were below it, it acted as resistance, resistance throughout the pre-market, got above it, move up, so as we come down and test this zone, as we're trading, within these ranges, I think you have to be aware of the range that you're trading in and kind of the price action that's been happening, right? So we've been kind of ping-ponging between these ranges, and so that's why I felt like we'd get a bounce. We got a prior bounce from that area, we retested it, and we got some price action that aligned with that idea in the 1 minute as well. So let's take a look. I entered. So you see volume pick up here. You see this selling volume pick up, and the highest selling volume was right here when we bounced and formed this lower wick. So that told me that there's buyers in the area. I also knew that because the previous time we kind of got down in this area, we bounced. So I entered on this candle here, and I got a very, very good fill. I got lucky on my fill. I essentially filled at the very bottom of this candle. My fill was like 18,333. So about right in there, 18,333 or so. I got very lucky with this fill, I'll say that. My stop loss was just below this wick. I had about a 6-point stop loss, and my take profit was this 18,350. So stop loss was just below this area. I expected, as you see, we wicked down here and then we didn't make a lower low, right? And we got that bounce. We got a pretty good move out of there, about 20 points or so. So that's what I was looking for, is just a similar bounce. I wasn't looking to risk it too much. I guess I could have targeted 18,360 because you see we got wicks up in here. That would have been a decent target. But I set my sight here because I had about a $10, or I think I risked about $12, about 6 points to the downside on a break below here. This low wick. And so I had close to a 3-to-1 risk to reward. So it was a $6 risk for about a 15-point reward. So pretty solid risk to reward. That hit my take profit right there. We did push up another 20 points. So obviously left some money on the table. So would have been a good one to have some runners to trim as we get up towards that swing high. Take some profit here, hold for potentially this swing high, and then set runners to whatever you want, break even, or so be it. Only having one contract, like I said, didn't want to get too greedy. We were kind of trending down on the day, so just look for that quick bounce. Got it, and that was the only trade that I took on NQ. We obviously had this massive sell-off, kind of came out of nowhere. I wasn't expecting it. There was no news that came out that prompted this, and it didn't quite give us a series of lower highs to enter. This entry was really nice on this retest of yesterday's low day and this corresponding zone. I did not enter there. I think I was a little hesitant to see the velocity of this move down. I did not get into any trades on this move down. So that was my only trade on NQ. You can see how the zones played out. We found a bottom here, came up, tested this low of yesterday zone, kind of rallied up to this next one, pulled back into that low of the yesterday zone, rallied up, retested, continuation. So pretty nice price action from zone to zone here. Let's look at ES, as I took 2 trades on ES. So had that winning trade on NQ, same thing on ES, right? We dumped really hard. I did not take any trades on this big move. I wished I did. I was actually hesitating. So on the 1 minute, and I'll show you what I was watching. When we were getting this dump, I almost took a short position here, and it would have played out really, really nice had I done so, but I didn't. I hesitated. I guess I could have looked at like a little bit of this flag break. It was a nice setup. I just hesitated and didn't take it. I think, like I said, kind of that volatility, that velocity of this move down kind of had me frozen a little bit, and that's something that I need to get better at, admittedly, because there's a lot of money to be made, and especially when you see this momentum, riding that momentum, taking advantage of that momentum, you can get some huge moves and some really kind of like outsized profit in terms of the volatility that you get. You can really capitalize on that. So it's something I want to work on. Maybe size down and just shoot my shot. But that's one that I missed. I wish I got. The second trade that I took and the first trade that I took on ES, and this is not a great trade, admittedly, it wasn't. But having watched this big drop, what I took was shorts when we broke low day. So we kind of found a bottom here. We had 2 wicks. On this wick here, we started to break that low day, and I entered a short position. So I don't trade breakouts. So that's the first thing. Not the greatest trade because I don't trade breakouts. Second thing is that momentum kind of died down, right? You see the volume pick up. The volume starts to decrease, and this price action decreases, and we start to form a bottom, right? We're not aggressively breaking to the downside. We're starting to hold. So this move has already happened. You know, trying to get in at this point was too late to get in. So that was my first mistake. I do want to show the 1 minute chart, and we can examine this a little bit closer. So why did I take it? Because we did have, you know, we had this big drop, we had some consolidation, big drop, right? And here we formed a lower high, came down, made a slightly lower low, formed another lower high, and then we came down, and on this candle, we broke low a day, and I entered a short position. I knew it was risky, so a few reasons why I entered, because we were still making lower lows and lower highs, albeit very slower, I mean, like the momentum wasn't as intense as you see here, but we were making lower lows and lower highs. I also took it because on the 1 hour, we were sitting, I guess I maybe zoomed in a little bit too much there. On the 1 hour, we were sitting right in here, kind of right in between these two zones. We had been moving pretty well zone to zone, and so I was hoping that a break of low a day would get us continuation down to this next zone. So the fact that we were kind of sitting in the middle of two zones was the reason why I took it, and the fact that we were breaking, you know, lower low, albeit very slightly. I'm not saying this is a great trade. It wasn't. It was a little risky, so I only took one contract. Generally, I trade 2 on ES, so I sized down on purpose. And then I had a tight stop loss. So my stop loss was about 2 points above where I entered. I got stopped out here for, I think, like a $12 loss. So that was my second trade, and not the greatest, right? Realistically, I should have been looking for longs here, because we weren't forming lower, I mean, we were holding really well after this big drop. And usually when you get massive move in one direction, you're going to get some kind of like corrective bounce. And that's true for anything. If you get a massive move up, you're going to get a pullback at some point. If you get a massive drop down, you're going to get a bounce at some point. So seeing that momentum had happened, it was kind of slowing down. This was a better entry for calls. And even if you were to watch, like, say, this kind of trend line that we'd formed here, you know, either there or this, that breaking of those lower highs, that breaking continuation would have been nice. So second trade, not that great. I did know that it was risky, and so I sized down and kept a tight stop. That leads me to my third and final trade, which was on ES, and that was calls in here. So after we had broken back above and reclaimed this zone, we broke above it, tested it, held it. I entered on, I believe, this candle here, either this candle or this candle. I entered a long position. I was looking to get continuation up to this zone would be ideal. You see, we eventually did that, but I did not capture the majority of that. I took 2 contracts. When we pushed up, I trimmed 1. When we broke above this swing high here, I trimmed 1 on this candle, held my runner. I set my stop loss for somewhere right, I think it was the swing high here. So it was about, it was 2 points above where I entered. I entered somewhere around like 5,220. I had my stop loss around like 5,222, somewhere in here. I was hoping that we'd get some continuation up. But when we pulled back here, that stopped out my runner for a slight gain. So had a slight gain on my first trim, set my runner, that stopped me out for a slight gain as well. So about, you know, a little less than a $20 gain on that third and final trade. So I was positive, took a loss, had a smaller positive day, made it back and more with this third and final trade to end up positive. Pretty good day overall on the day. So those are the trades I took, reasons why, stop losses. Stop loss on this trade, so I guess I could speak to that. My stop loss was if we broke below this zone, so I had about a 2-point stop loss, and, you know, got slightly more than 2 points of profit. So it was about a 1-to-1, nothing too crazy. Obviously, I was holding out, hoping that runner would be kind of an outsized return, in terms of making its way up here, which would have been, you know, over a 10-point trade, which would have, like I said, made that risk to reward a bit better. But that's all I got for you. Thank you for watching. I do appreciate it. I trade live Monday through Friday. I'll be here tomorrow. Tomorrow will be my last day of the week for me trading, as I'm traveling Thursday and Friday. But we're going to try to close it out strong. We've had a good week so far. We'll look to continue that tomorrow. All right. Peace.